it was really a big bucket list item for me to be able to work with a team I grew up cheering for, like yourself, being from Pittsburgh, how much people idolize the Steelers, and if you're not doing something on a Sunday that's not Steelers related, I don't know what's going on. But it was really cool just to be in that environment and really follow the whole story of Big Ben retiring.
Welcome into the latest episode of the Sports Prod Pod. It's me, Nick. The boys still busy. It's that time of year. Football, Olympic sports, it is what it is. So, joined today by a big part of the creative community all over social media. He's worked for a lot of different outlets, the NFL, the Pittsburgh Steelers. He is now doing his own thing. And most importantly, he's a fellow Yinzer. He is Matt Desmond. Matt, how yin's dead?
Love the Pittsburgh Bees right off the bat there. Nick, I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man. Thanks for coming on. We've kind of bandied about with each other on the social medias throughout the years, and we finally had a chance to meet. I think at SVG a couple years ago, and the Pittsburgh connection ran deep on us and kept us together. And I figured you've got an event coming up that we'll get to later. It seemed like the perfect time to have our first creative person on and kind of discuss how they got to where they are and their game day stuff, because the sports production world doesn't just end with live events. It's the post-production, it's the pre-production, it's the hype videos, it's all of that. We're all tied together. So, hey, you're our first creative. Welcome,
Yeah,
man.
thanks for having me on. I'm excited to get going here.
Yeah, so we'll go way back and start at the beginning where you went from Little Point Park University, which I know Point Park. It is, if you're looking at athletics, it's a D3, right? Or is it?
So when I was there, they were NAIA, but now I believe they've gone to D3.
Yeah, and it's a tiny little school, but it is in the heart of Pittsburgh. It's a great location.
Yeah.
If you're a big fan of Pittsburgh like I am, it is a great place. They have a good creative arts program, if I remember right.
hmm
Is that what I know you're from Pittsburgh, but is that what drew you to Point Park?
Yeah, I went to Point Park just because I was able to get experience as a freshman right out of the gates. So when I went to Point Park, I thought I wanted to be the next Sports Center anchor. And after my freshman year, I was like, that was a good dream, but we're gonna put that in our back pocket. And that's where I kind of fell in love with the storytelling components of being in the production business with sports. So from there, I kind of catapulted into the industry. But yeah, no, it was a great spot. Met a lot of great people, and still keep in touch with some people from Point Park these days.
We may have a friend or two in common via this, but I saw you're an intern at KDKA Sports, and you said you are grew your love through there of sports and storytelling, and then you went on to be a freelance photographer at KDKA. Is that kind of where this whole grand plan, where you are now, started?
Yeah, it's definitely where the roots sprouted. Got to get a lot of good reps under my belt. I started my career actually on the live production side, and then I transitioned into content production. So got a lot of good reps at KDKA, but it was only in a part-time capacity, and I wanted to get some more regular playing time, as they would say in sports. So made my way into minor league baseball, and then went into college athletics. So yeah, but that was a good starting point for me in Pittsburgh. But for me to move on in my career, I needed to move around, and glad I did.
Yeah, you mentioned minor league baseball, and I honestly did not know this until looking at your LinkedIn, which I'm stealing a lot of this information from. But we probably did cross paths at some point, seeing as you were with the Myrtle Beach Pelicans about 2 hours up the road in the Sally League, when I've been with the River Dogs this whole time. What was it like being right off of Broadway at the beach in Myrtle Beach?
That was definitely a time in my life. I mean, working in minor league baseball, you're working long hours, but I was able to experience a lot and really just try a lot of new things there. So definitely was something that I was proud to do. Working in minor league baseball. I don't know if I would go back and do it again, but it was an experience nonetheless. So yeah, it was great. Got to try a lot of new things down there, but yeah, enjoy my time in Myrtle Beach.
um, yeah, so I'll just say you were spent a couple months at Myrtle Beach. Is there anything very Myrtle Beach that sticks out outside of the baseball realm? Because Myrtle Beach is a world unto itself, and if Sue's were here, I'm sure he'd had something to add to that, being at Coastal Carolina. But um, what's the most Myrtle Beach thing you were able to do in your time there?
Lots of golf, lots of mini golf. That was two of the big things that were down there in Myrtle Beach is there's no shortage of golf down there.
Yeah, I have actually never had a chance to so much mini golf. So much mini golf. It's got to be like per capita the mini golf capital of the states or something. But I've yet to go up there and play any golf or any mini golf. And usually I'm up there to hit Broadway at the beach and pass through for something else. They used to have a Quickie Mart at Broadway at the
Okay.
beach, Simpsons Quickie Mart, and so I'd go up there for that, and that was really the only reason. And then Top Golf, but now there's one here. So if you were to press me for my most Myrtle Beach thing, it's probably that or Ripley's. Ripley's, believe
Yeah.
it or not. Yeah, I never went to Knights of the Medieval Times. Never made it to Medieval Times. I'm actually a little disappointed you never made it to Medieval Times. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, maybe I'll get down there again.
I always tell my friends in Pittsburgh that are coming down to Myrtle Beach, just take the extra 2 hours, come to Charleston. I'll show you a better time. It's fine.
I don't disagree with that statement. So
um, uh, so from there, you had to stop at Baylor. Anything interesting about your time in Waco?
yeah, so that was my first time living in Texas, first time visiting Texas when I took the job at Baylor. Um, yeah, it was a little bit of a cultural shock for me. I think I was the only guy there that didn't own a pickup truck, didn't have cowboy boots, and yeah, I was only there for a year, and I appreciate everyone I worked with at Baylor, but this wasn't a fit for me. So I went to Cincinnati after that and enjoyed a good career there as well.
Yeah, and it is true. I've been to Dallas quite a bit, and I've been to Austin, and even in places like that, man, Texas is very, very different. And it is, I mean, just flying over, and you can echo some of this. Friday Night Lights is real.
Yeah, actually, one of the game day production staffers actually went to that high school. I think they might have had some fictional, names in there, but where it was based on, that was about the high school he went to. So it was pretty surreal to kind of be in that environment.
Yeah, they're not lying when 10, 15,000 people are showing up for a football game in arenas that are better than some of the D1s that are here in South Carolina. It's unreal. All right, so any Chip and Joanna sightings?
Yeah, I got to see them at a couple Baylor Bears women's basketball games. They're very very humble people, very nice. So nothing but good things to say about Chip and Joanne.
It's it's a question that I asked jokingly. So to actually get a reply is pretty cool. Like yeah, and I've got friends that in Austin that work in radio there, and they say the same thing about Austin FC and Matthew McConaughey. I'd be like, oh, how often McConaughey's here? Oh, he's here all the time. He loves it here. He's a great guy. So it's always interesting when you ask like a half joking question like that, and you're actually able to get, yeah, actually they're here a lot, and they're really cool people. They're nothing but great things to say
Yeah,
about them.
absolutely.
Did you ever make it out to their compound?
Yeah, whenever I had friends visit, that was the first thing they wanted to see. So,
Naturally, yeah. I mean, it's Waco. It's Baylor and Chip and Joanna's spot, I guess.
yes.
Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but that's just the
There's
impression I've
also
had.
the Dr. Pepper Museum as well. That's a
Ooh,
fun fact.
interesting. Interesting. No, I like that. That's a great fun fact. If you take nothing else away from this, Dr. Pepper in
Hmm.
Waco. There you go. You did mention you went on to Cincinnati and you were there for quite a bit. Outside of Skyline Chili, what can you tell me about your time at Cincy with the Bearcats?
Well, first off, Skyline Chili and me were not great friends. Wasn't for me. But no, I really enjoyed my time at Cincinnati. It's just a great city. From there, I kind of switched gears. I was more on the live event side in my career leading up to that point, but then I switched to content production, focusing a lot more on the post production side. That's where I kind of fell in love with the hype videos and really just the human interest stories, working with our student athletes. And I'll say this to this day, some of the best student athletes that I got to work with were at the University of Cincinnati. So they put some really good kids through that program, and they're doing some really great things in life now. So yeah, speak pretty highly of my time at Cincinnati and just the people I got to work with.
You said you started your transition more toward the creative side there. While you were doing it, when did things kind of click to where you're like, hey, this is the full direction I want to go and not just kind of split time?
Yeah, absolutely. So we were a little bit short-staffed, working in college athletics kind of comes with the territory. So I got to do a little bit of everything. That's kind of where I found I had the most creative freedom to try new things. And that's really just kind of where my creative juices started to churn. So once I was able to kind of put some cool things together, that kind of just got the wheels spinning like, wow, why don't I try this? Or why don't I learn to do something like this? So for me, I was always challenging myself to do something better the next project I had. So just having the creative freedom there was really cool to have.
Is there a particular video from that time? And I'm not telling you to direct me toward it, but is there a particular video that you can think of in your head that you go, that's the vision that I had. This is the direction now I want to go because it just hit just right.
Yeah, I wouldn't say there was just like a one project that like stuck out to me, but one thing that I tried that really wasn't done before, and looking back at it, I probably this is probably 8 years ago now, but looking back at it, I would say I would do this a lot differently. But I did a lot of like hand-drawn animations into a basketball hype video, and um, never done that before, but I said, heck, let's just give it a try and see if it hits. And it was a big hit at the basketball game, and the basketball team loved it. So, just trying to do something different and make our content stand out. And it was really cool to see just the appreciation behind it.
I'm picturing the video for "Take on Me" by Aha.
Not quite
So
the production value, but similar.
something similar to that. Um, well, we're on the topic of Cincy and going back a step, celebrity sightings. I'm just going to ask Kelsey's yay or nay.
I didn't get to meet them.
Maybe one day. Hey, you know what? You're around enough of that field that there's an opportunity. I'm
Yeah,
sure. I've heard nothing but good
yeah,
things. So but I feel like somebody out there would have been saying, "Well, you asked about Chip and Joanna. What about the Kelseys? You worked there." So I had to take the
sure.
opportunity. From there, you made your way out to Oakland. We'll skip your thoughts on what's going on with the Athletics. But what was it like to head out to California from being basically a Midwest kid out of Pittsburgh and coming from Cincinnati all the way out to California? What was that like?
Yeah, for sure. It was definitely a big leap of faith for me to move all across the country. At this point in my career, I was 4 hours from family. I was pretty comfortable, but to be honest, college athletics was taking a toll on me. So I wanted to. I've always been a huge baseball fan, hence, our Pittsburgh Pirates here. But
Let's go Buffalo,
yeah,
go.
I guess. So this was an opportunity for me to work in Major League Baseball, a sport that I fell in love with growing up. And honestly, the A's were very resemblant of, Pittsburgh in terms of a small market team, but on the other side of the country. So for me, I was able to go over there. They have such a rich history with the A's. Really just to take that in and embody, the type of franchise that was built up until that stage. And experienced some really good seasons with the A's. We were very successful in my tenure there. Um, can't say I'm going to take any credit for that, but it was just good timing for me to experience postseason baseball and kind of see the city just really rally behind that team.
I mean, look, they don't get anywhere without the hype videos.
I
Remember
know,
that.
yeah.
So take it just that much credit, just a little bit, just a minor bit. It's all right. It's all right. Yeah, NFL. You went to the NFL after that, contract worker, but still, you were there for quite a bit, doing creative content, and it was during the COVID era. So I'm sure, um, it was you had to get creative with what you were doing in that sense. What was it like working in the COVID era as a creative content?
Yeah, it's funny. So it was hired for the NFL, during COVID, and never met any of my coworkers in person, and didn't get to meet my coworkers in person until honestly last year. I went out to LA and stopped in the NFL offices and met them, but couldn't speak more highly of the people I work with at the NFL. Learned a lot of really great, editing techniques and storytelling components. But yeah, it's also an interesting time because it's not the typical NFL coverage you have today. Back then, I was doing a vlog series, following two NFL athletes just on their COVID protocols and the day of life of being a NFL player going through COVID. So what people saw on the field, and well, people weren't in attendance during them, but if you're watching on TV, you would never know what they had to go through just to even be cleared to play an NFL game. So kind of being able to peel back the curtain and just see, what was the processes they had to go through was really fascinating, and I was able to put that into a long form video, so that was really cool.
Were you on location with them, or were they filming it like on their phone and then sending it back and it being sent to you at a remote location, or how was that working?
Honestly, we'd get creative, so we would send them iPhone kits. We'd have it's just a rarely run and gun operation, and we gave the athletes, a lot of instruction, like, hey, this is how you should go about recording your day. Gave them some shot sheets, and then we did interviews, like all virtual, just like you and I are doing. But we had an iPhone actually behind the recording we have, like, going on right now, and that would be our 4K footage capture. But yeah, we really had to think outside the box, but it was really cool just to be challenged, because now if something of that magnitude ever happened again, we'd be prepared for it in a different sense. But yeah, no, it was cool just to kind of go through that process, never expecting that would be something I would go through after graduating college.
If the others are with me, they will say what I'm going to say. I'm sure is that there were things we learned during COVID that we had to learn that we still use and take with us. Is there anything that you had to think outside of the box and generate then that you are still doing to this day that pre that at Cincy or Baylor or anything you never would have thought that you'd be doing, or a technique that you'd be using?
I wouldn't say like one technique, but I would say just COVID streamlined this industry as a whole. Before that, remote work wasn't a thing, or maybe it was on the cusp of being a thing, but COVID forced being remote to be an actual functionality within companies. So I think that really opened the door for a lot of people. And, we could segue into, why I decided to go out on my own. But I think for, COVID, I look back on, if COVID didn't happen, I wouldn't be in the position I am today. So it's just kind of ironic how such a world-changing event can alter someone's career.
I have my own camera. I know you have, I'm sure, multiple cameras. And this will tie in, don't worry. But is it weird that we're still in a time where instead of bringing out your Sony or your Canon or anything, it's we can just shoot on our iPhone. It's fine, and that's acceptable because it is really high quality. And we learned through COVID that you know what, you can still get good footage, as I'm sure you did, through an iPhone. Is that still kind of weird to you?
I mean, it's not, because there's something new tech-wise coming out every day. So I feel like we're in a space where, we're able to do more with less. I mean, by the time this goes out, this will be old news, but tonight on Apple TV for Friday Night Baseball, they're doing a broadcast where it's being shot on an iPhone. So it's just amazing just what technology can do these days.
And I mean, the new 17 just dropped, and I'm sure the Pro has all kinds of specs that I want, even though I'll never use, and I'll be getting soon, I'm sure. So I'm sure it's just a coincidence that they're shooting a game through an iPhone when the 17 just drops. Yeah, pure coincidence. We'll go ahead and jump ahead because you mentioned it. Although I'd love to talk about the Steelers
Yeah,
just because you can see the
absolutely. We
behind me,
can talk about
but
the series, and then we can get there.
yeah, let's talk about the Steelers. I mean, again, you weren't there for a long time, but you don't have to be there a long time to have a good time. So talk about. And I think I went to a game while you were there and tried to link up with you, and I think I saw you on the field if I remember
Yep.
right. Because I think I was messaging you or texting you like I think I see you, and I took a photo and I was really creepy about it. But what was it like for that season shooting with the Steelers? Again, like I'm from Pittsburgh. I had my experience of interning with the Penguins. You're from Pittsburgh. I'm sure there's innate love of the Steelers. What's it like working for one of your teams that you grew up watching?
Yeah, so when I decided to move back to Pittsburgh from California, I was really honestly just going to transition right into my own business. But an opportunity popped up for a seasonal video producer with the Steelers, and it's just really good timing. This was the Big Ben's last year with the Steelers, and it was really a big bucket list item for me to be able to work with the teams I grew up cheering for. And like yourself, being from Pittsburgh, you know how much people idolize the Steelers. And if you're not doing something on a Sunday that's not Steelers related, I don't know what's going on. But it was really cool just to be in that environment and really follow the whole story of, Big Ben retiring. Um, it was just really cool to just to see the whole city rally behind that. Wasn't the best season in terms of record wise, but in terms of storylines, it was just really cool just to see the whole city just kind of get behind that moment. And I'll never forget Big Ben's last game. Just the whole stadium was cheering, "Thank you, Ben," and that just kind of sent chills through the body. Just kind of growing up in Pittsburgh, being there during the prime of Big Ben's career. So kind of seeing that all kind of come together was really cool.
I'll never forget his second to last game at home because that's the one I was at, and I'm pretty sure that was the one. It was against the Titans, and it was a bad game. I think it was like 13-10 final or something like that. Ben had a rushing touchdown that I missed because my wife and I were getting pierogi at the stadium. But Joe Hayden with a big tackle to end the game. But that's definitely where I was stalking you, was that game. It was the second to last game. It was in mid-December. Um, and I always told my wife I would never take her to a Steelers game beyond like October, so she didn't freeze. And then I'm like, hey babe, we're going to a game in December. I'm sorry, and it was 30 and it was snowing. And but yeah, so that was a cool season to watch. And they got into the playoffs literally by the skin of their teeth. Game could have ended in a tie, and they wouldn't have made it. Instead, I think it was the Chargers went for the field goal and
Hmm.
got it, and they got in and gave Ben one last game. So yeah, I'll just being an occasional viewer and being there for one game was same feeling. Just um, really cool to watch it go out, and especially I remember watching his first game in Miami during the tail end of a tropical storm. So to remember his first game and then watch his last game, and same with Marc Andre Fleury. Again, this will be old news by the time this airs, but tomorrow night he's playing in a preseason game as like a last bow with the Penguins, and he was my draft year, both born in '84. So like same thing. It's remembering full careers just means we're old.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so you said you moved back to start your own your own business, but the opportunity with the Steelers came. But you've been doing your own thing since then. What has it been like making that leap?
Yeah, I mean, it was a big leap to take. And freelancing has been becoming more popular these days. But I think I was one of the few that's kind of started the trend back in the 2022 era, 2021. But yeah, you have to have a plan. And for me, I was freelancing on the side while I had a full-time job and was able to really grow a lot of connections in the industry and really just kind of got in at the right time. Was working with a lot of businesses and had a lot of referrals from those people that I was working with. Um, but you really just got to plan for the worst. I mean, being out on your own, no one is going to stand up for you outside of yourself. So you got to be wearing so many hats that sometimes you forget which hat you're wearing. So for me, I really wanted a new challenge in my career, and freelancing sounded like a good avenue to tackle. So been doing that for the last 4 years, and it's been great. Can't say every day's been a high, but you learn from the lows, and I think that's life. So for me, it's been a really cool experience so far.
And I can tell you, and I say this in case anybody listening is considering freelancing, it's very much a similar process to what I went through last year. Is in my time at Charleston Southern, I was still freelancing on the side, and when it came to the point where I was thinking, I think my time here is done, I'm just out of growth, I started reaching out to my contacts and seeing, hey, I'm thinking of leaving. It's up in the air, but I just want to see if I do, is there a place I can land here? And you get enough positives that you think, all right, if I do this, there's a good chance of success, and I'm not going to be back with my parents or having to sell my house or anything like that. And so what you're saying is very interesting because it's basically the same process I went through without realizing it. Of when you have that ability to take that time, you do that, and you make sure you're set before you make the leap. It's not. It's a daunting thing. You don't just want to say screw it, I'm done.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've had numerous calls with, creatives wanting to go the freelance route, and, I give them the list of pros and the list of cons, and I'm very transparent about it. Like you have to have a plan. You really have to account for, the dead periods that you're going to go through because you could sit here and you could be the most talented person, and you're gonna have some dead periods. It's gonna happen. Some things are gonna be out of your control, but you have to plan for it. So for me, just giving a little bit of advice right now is like to anyone, watching this, you have to have a safety net of funds, because if you don't, you're going to be in trouble, and you're going to wish you would have saved, have that safety net whenever that time would come. So I could go into a whole spiel about, tips and tricks, just and pieces of advice for freelancing, but I think that's one of the biggest things that I would say.
Save that for your booklet that you'll sell to them, right? Tips and Tricks of Freelancers by Matt Desmond.
Yeah, I mean, I'm one that always gives free advice, so I'm
No, yeah, yeah.
never one to.
You're not one
No.
of those. It's all right. No, and my friend Scott Eisberg here in Charleston, at the sports reporter for Channel 4, had me talk to his sports production class uh, previous Thursday when this airs. And that was one of the things I brought up because he brought me in to talk about life as a freelancer is um, you are going to have months where you're going to blow your budget out. You're going to make so much. And then you're going to have months where you're going to be falling well short, and they offset each other. So you can't think, oh, I made 8 grand this month. I can go hog wild and take a vacation. You might not, because you might make a month where you only make like $1,000 or $2,000. You might need that rest of the money for the budget in the summertime. So it is quite interesting. Or my real life example from earlier this month, when I lost probably $1,500 because I got COVID and had to back out of an SEC game. Like, you don't know when that's going to happen. Uh, so there's a lot of advice that goes into freelancing, and it is something that can be very freeing. I always tell people mentally it was one of the best decisions I made. I'm so much happier. Um, but there are months where you're going to worry about money, and the losing out on that 1,500 hasn't kept me destitute, but it's led to some nights where I'm like, I've had trouble sleeping because, all right, well, what can my wife and I are not going to have to go out to a date night this month to make up for it or something like that. So um, it is great, very freeing, but there's a lot of, like you said, there are the cons that go with the pro.
I will say one thing that stuck out to me since going freelance is, the first year I was a yes man. I was like, any project came my way, I was saying yes to. But as I've grown, and it being year 4 now of freelancing, you get more comfortable saying no. And it's not no just because you don't want to work with that person. It's because you've built up, a reputation of, this is my body of work. This is what I do. These are the rates that I'm operating under. And you got to really put your foot down, because once you start to backtrack, it's really hard to get back to where you're at.
Yeah, and I went through something similar last year where, or earlier this year, I should say, I got offered a travel job in a really unique spot that would have let me see some distant family. I offered a lacrosse tournament in Foxborough, and I have family in Maine. They could have come down and seen me. But I was already booked for something here that would pay slightly less, but it let me stay home after I would be leaving for 11 days a couple weeks later. It gave me more time with my wife. And it really hurt to say no to that, especially as a former lacrosse player. But like you said, sometimes you got to get comfortable saying no when the realities are, again, weighing pros and cons. The cons are, yeah, I'm going to make a little less money, but the pro is I get to spend more time at home before I'm gone for quite a while. So there are always going to be different pros and cons to everything. And even like you said, at some point your reputation is your reputation. And once you start saying yes to something that may pay less, others may get word of that and they're going to start offering less. And then it's just a very slippery slope.
Yep.
And I'm in year 2 and I'm not quite there, but I'm almost there to the point where I'm being more picky, even though it means that month I might not make as much. But if you're only offering me 150 to go do something, that's still reasonable money, but it's not what I think I should be working for when next week I'm doing something for 500 in a similar capacity. So
Sure.
it's a very much a know your worth situation as well, and get comfortable knowing your worth.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you've been your own boss for quite a while, and that it frees you up to do different things like start the sports creative community. What made you start that? And I hate to use this term, but tell us more about it.
So yeah, back in 2018, I went to a conference and got to meet a lot of great people. But after that conference was done, it was very hard to keep those connections alive with people that you met. So I took it upon myself to start Sports Creative Community. Fast forward 3 years, a nonprofit organization for creatives. But right when I started the community, it was more so I'm just going to invite some friends, start a Slack channel, share some ideas, and organically it just blossomed. So today we have over almost 9,000 creatives worldwide in the sports creative industry. We put on networking events all across the country. Next year we might be exiting the country, but I don't want to get too much into that, but it's a possibility. But we also not only do physical events, but we do virtual events as well. And the whole thing is, we want to bring the community together to, create new job opportunities, to help each other out, and really just kind of be that, listening voice for the community. Everyone has a different path they've taken to get to their career, so we want to make sure that we're helping people in multiple different capacities. So yeah, I've always been one that's wanted to give back to the community, any community that I'm involved with. So it just made too much sense that this is something that I've been working in, for the last 15 years now in the sports industry, and I've met a lot of great people that are creatives, and I wanted to make sure that people entering the industry and even people, that have been in the industry for a while, have a gathering spot they can go to, you know, give back, but also, provide new opportunities for people. So, yeah, there's just a lot of passion that resonates in this space, and just want to make sure that it's heading in the right direction.
It doesn't matter if it's the creative side or the live side. This industry in general is all about networking. I mean, I still have a lot of creative sides like you that I keep in touch with. At what point did you go, this has the potential to not just be my buddies, but something that would become 9,000 people deep and still growing?
So actually, that aha moment came in COVID, like a lot of other things in my career. We were doing networking calls on Zoom every week during COVID, and then the world started to kind of go back into normal operation, and this kind of went by the wayside. But like we generated so much excitement and momentum during that time that we were like, hey, we have to, formalize this into a company, and being, just the narrative that we wanted to give back to the community, you know, resided in the nonprofit space. So we selected that as the, business model that we're operating under. And it's been great. Every time I'm at an event, I'll meet someone that says, hey, if it wasn't for sports creative community, I wouldn't have the job I'm in today. So just like hearing that, that that does it for me. I mean, I just want to make sure that people are able to progress in their career and help people along the way. So, if SEC has helped you out, I just encourage to keep, helping other people, reach their goals, because I love to see people, achieve the goals that they have set out for themselves. And if we can be a helping hand in that way, then that's terrific.
Yeah, it's and being an accidental life changer is kind of interesting because you don't want to take the credit. It's just something you did, but in the back of your head, it's you kind of occasionally have to go, "Oh wow, I did that." You don't want to get a big head about it, but you need to give yourself some credit for saying something I built is helping people make their dreams come true.
Yeah, I mean, it's really refreshing to hear that. But at the end of the day, there's so many people behind the scenes at sports creative community that are helping us, achieve our mission each day. We work with, about 75 to 80 volunteers that help us do a lot of our activations and programming for SEC across the calendar year. So it's really the heartbeat of the community at the end of the day that's helping the community thrive. So as much credit as I want to take, uh, that's great, but it's going back to, just the whole organization. At the end of the day, they're helping us, reach goals that we never would imagine could be possible when we first started. So it's definitely a whole team effort.
You mentioned the events that you do every year. You have one coming up October 7th. Um, Go ahead, pitch us on it. Tell us about it.
So LA has been one of our popular markets that we've been to the past couple of years. We're going to be in El Segundo, not too far away from LAX, SoFi Stadium. We'll be announcing our speakers next week. We've got a very great panel assembled. They're going to be really dropping some gems on this panel. But it's also just that if you've never been to events, I'll just kind of give you a quick little uh, overview of what an event is. So it's a 4 hour window of networking, educational opportunities by listening to panels, you got live Q&A, but there's also icebreakers. We really want to keep these professional, but also informal. So it doesn't feel like you're at a working event. It feels like you're going to an event, mingling with people that you might have never met, but you guys share a lot in common. So for us, we want to keep it very lively and just we want to keep the vibes at an all-time high because everyone works in a pretty stressful environment in sports. While sports is fun from, that outside view, we also know that it can get pretty stressful. So for us, we want to create an event that's going to really make sure that everyone's having a good time because this is kind of like a celebration of creatives while we're also networking, but we want to keep the spirit high as well. So we have a lot of fun things that are going to take place at the event in LA. But yeah, if you're in the area, definitely encourage people to stop by.
Do you have like vendors or anything come out that you can talk to?
Yeah, we have two vendors that will be on site, OWC and Strata. Um, Both are kind of in the storage space that they work side to side together. So those are two vendors that we're working with for the LA event.
You mentioned storage space. What does your storage look like? How many big hard drives do you
Well,
have?
it's funny. I have a hard drive under my desk. That's kind of my backup life support. So anything I edit, also transfer to another storage device so that if something would go wrong with my hard drive, I got it backed up. So yeah, I have a couple hard drives, but yeah, work on the cloud is also a nice savior as well.
I was gonna say, how big is that bad boy, or how big? What is your storage like? What is the depth of your
I
storage?
think it's 48 terabytes.
No big deal. But I'm assuming this is every year, like most of pretty much everything from every year you've done stuff.
Yeah, so I
So
mean, I'll have a couple hard drives I work on like day to day, but then once the year ends, I just transfer to the backup.
yeah, what as far as doing storage, is there any advice that you have found most useful? I mean, it's kind of the approach I take when I do it, but is there anything unique or that you'd think that is a little out of the box that you do that you can pass along?
Yeah, I think one example happened last year. I was working for an NBA team, and unfortunately, one of the coaches I did a feature on passed away. So the NBA team reached back out to me and needed the project assets to, put together uh, you know, a video honoring the coach. And luckily, I still had all that footage and all the project files saved on my drive. So we're able to work and get a video out pretty fast. But I will say, whenever you're doing any type of video, is export a split track so that if someone needs to use it down the road, you have that readily available for them. Have a graphics clean export as well, just because you never know what scenario you're going to be in. So do as much of the work as you can on the back end to set yourself up for success, but also be prepared in a sense whenever a client might reach out of the blue because it happens more often than you think.
So your portfolio, NBA, NFL, MLB. What has been that event for you? You mentioned earlier Ben. Will always remember Ben getting his send off at home as he took the lap around and everybody cheered. What are some moments that really stick out to you where you were just in the moment like, damn, I get to do this?
Yeah, so I'll say two. So one actually was when I was in college. I was doing a capstone project, and I was doing a feature on a husband and wife duo volleyball coaches, and the wife actually had cancer, and a month after I was done with the project, she unfortunately passed away. So that brought a lot of new meanings into that video, and it really was an out of body experience for me because I was able to look and see the impact that something I created, was uplifting a whole community and a family. So that really fueled my passion for storytelling. into my career, and I always look back on it and say, hey, sports is a vehicle that can bring a lot of people together, for good and bad, but mostly for good. And for me, I look back on that and say, if you can really change someone's life, you're doing your job at the end of the day. So that's something I always remember, creating that video for that family and that community. And then a project I worked on last year that really challenged me. I got to work with the U.S. Women's National Deaf Soccer team. That was really cool because they really didn't get the recognition that they, deserved up to the point. And this team, when I was working with them, I think maybe lost one or two games, since they've been formed. So they're very talented athletes, but you had to really put on, your creative mindset in a different capacity. So like for this, I was working with a ALS interpreter, really thinking about how to portray the storytelling for a different audience that I was used to working with. So that really challenged me to think a little bit differently when I was creating that video. So for me, I always look back on, projects that created obstacles that allow me to think in a different capacity, because I hate creating videos that are always the same thing. Like I want to be challenged, but those were definitely two experiences that kind of stick with me today that, are different in a sense, but are really bringing different audiences together.
Yeah, and going more towards superficial because those were beautiful examples that were way more in depth than I expected. So thank you, that was awesome. I just expected you to go, yeah, I worked a Super Bowl, it was really cool, yeah, something like that.
No, I've worked big events. Like I've been in the MLB playoffs. Got to go to an NBA Finals game. Like there's big events that I've been a part of. But really, I look back at the things that really are remembering for me is the things that have a greater impact at the end of the day. And those storylines, will always stay with me. So rather than that moment, I'd rather, look back and remember that storyline.
Anything you wanna plug other than feel free to plug October 7th again, but anything else you want to plug you got coming up, where people can reach you or anything like that?
Yeah, for sure. So I'll plug the sports creative community. If you would like to join our Slack channel, it's the place to be. If you wanted to join that, it's sportscreativeslack.com. We're going to be having a very exciting announcement in the coming weeks, regarding SCC, heading into 2026. So can't spill the beans on this, podcast, but definitely be, on the lookout for that. But if you want to contact me, I live on Slack, so happy to, correspond with you there. And I will just say, network, network, network. That's my biggest piece of advice. Your network can never be too big. Just when you think your network might be big enough, it's proven wrong and it's not. So just continue to network, no matter where you are in your career.
It's true. He lives there. That's how we arranged this. I DM'd him on Slack, and that's how we got this to happen. So, again, Sports Creative Communities meetup in LA, El Segundo, October 7th. Matt Desmond, the leader of the Sports Creative Community, one of many within the Sports Creative Community, as he'll tell you. Maybe the leader, but one of many that helps. Matt, thank you so much, man. This has been awesome. It's so good to catch up to you. Um, yeah, I already asked if there's anything else, but I guess anything else you'd like to say before we wrap this up?
No, I just I just appreciate you having me on. It's been fun talking, but yeah, if you're looking at getting the sports or just, have any questions about, the career path that I've taken, happy to answer any questions. So yeah, hopefully, everyone is ready for, a fun fall weekend. I know I'm getting into the fall festivities myself, so it's just a good time of the year to be going on right now.
Yeah. Thank you, Matt. I appreciate it. Once again, for Dennis Trapani and Alex Souza, hopefully returning soon. I've said that before. I'm Nick Case. Once again, for the Sports Broad Pod, good night, Satellite.